Welcome to the Bedlam Brother Podcast. I'm Calvin.
I'm Walter.
And today in studio, we have Colton Davidson, who's joining us from the O'Colly O'Cast, his Slim Basketball Podcast. How's it going, Colton?
It's going really good.
All right, awesome. And then also, over the phone, we have Elijah, who writes for BedlamBrother.com. Colton does too, but a little. One paragraph, but it still was good, Colton. It was good either way.
Contribution.
That still helps out the site. And then Elijah on the phone, who wrote the NBA mock draft, and then NBA mock draft version 2, NBA drafts, sleepers as well for BedlamBrother.com. So Elijah really putting in the work there, researching all these guys. Definitely wanted to have him on for the NBA draft recap podcast, as well as other news and notes around Oklahoma sports. How's it going, Elijah?
I'm doing pretty good.
Finally got you to say something almost before the minute mark there. So that was good. As far as the entire draft last night, Elijah, since you're the Huskies fan, the only Huskies fan I know of, what did you think of the Sixers trading and then taking Markelle Fultz?
I mean, they stole it from Boston. I honestly don't know what Boston was thinking in terms of, giving Philadelphia the player that they wanted all along. I mean, they could have, I guess, taken De'Aaron Fox, and Ball wasn't going to slip past two. So they basically gave Markelle. And I mean, not just being a fan of the Huskies, seeing Markelle play enough times throughout the season, he's the best player in the draft. He's complete. He's going to have stuff to work on, no doubt, but he's a level-headed kid. He's not cocky. Somebody that just, even though he was on a 9-win team, which, is pretty terrible, I think he's just going to be able to turn things around and help Philadelphia take it to the next level. I think they haven't had a guard like that since Allen Iverson. I feel like he's going to come in there and really energize his team. I mean, it's going to come down to health with Philadelphia, but I think Fultz is a terrific addition to the Sixers, just with what he brings. Defensively, he has some work to do, but I think offensively, his game is as good as you're going to get in this draft. So I'm really excited for the franchise. I think they've got a nice core that's built there, and if they can just stay healthy, the Sixers are going to be able to compete, I feel like. So I was really excited. I was excited when they made the trade last weekend, and to see them take it to another level now. I think Philadelphia Trust the Process is actually kind of coming together, and it's good to see.
I heard there's a new nickname for them now.
Yep.
Yeah, the Feds.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That's the best nickname.
Yeah, that's a great nickname. I really hope Embiid can stay healthy, but him and Fultz together are going to be so fun to watch because Embiid has such a fun offensive game. He can step out and hit shots. He can go down low. Fultz is a guy that runs the pick and roll really well. He did that really tremendous at UW. So I feel like this is just it's a perfect fit for what they're trying to do in Philadelphia. They needed a point guard. It seemed like every draft we talked about how they took Nerlens Noel, then they took Okafor, then they took Ben Simmons. They had Embiid. They just kept taking big guys with those lottery picks. They finally took a guard. I think this guy, he's going to be tremendous. He's 6'5". He's got the speed. He's a winner. And, I mean, he has a great story, too, where he was on the JV team his sophomore year. He wasn't even playing varsity basketball, grew a couple inches and started playing a lot better, made the varsity team, and ends up being, a top 5 recruit. So he just has all this motivation, I think. And I think him only winning 9 games in college is really going to motivate him to help Philadelphia, a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in a really long time. So it's great for the franchise, I think. And going forward, Fultz is going to be a really, really good player.
What were you saying earlier, Colton, about the nickname?
I was listening to the OKC Thunderheads on my way walking over, and they actually hated the name the Feds. They all hated it. I didn't get it. Me and Shane were talking about it last night, and we loved it. We actually voted it as our favorite tweet from the NBA draft night last night.
Yeah.
We loved it.
I love the nickname personally. Walter, your thoughts?
I thought it was pretty freaking awesome. But I think Sam Hinkie needs an apology letter from all of the Philadelphia fans that were chanting "Trust the process" to any executives that fired him. It's just he needs an apology letter.
Really?
Yeah, because now the Feds, that's all thanks to him. With all the draft picks he was able to get, the tanking.
Well,
you don't think so?
Well, I guess, okay, so there's 2 ways to go if you're an NBA franchise.
Yeah.
2 ways to go into making your team suck to try to get draft picks, right?
Yeah.
There's the Sixers, who basically had Allen Iverson for a while, and then after then, we just kind of been blank. It's just been kind of time lost there for Sixers fans.
Had Iggy for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was kind of a little bit of the forgettable stretch, too.
Yeah, I agree.
Or you can do what the Bulls did last night, and you can trade away your best player, maybe top 15 player in the league, and your 16th pick for 3 prospects at best.
Well, I was thinking to go back to why would Boston make this trade. I think Boston was trying to get their cake and eat it too. I think they were trying to get another first-round pick, trade down to that spot, and then go trade for Jimmy Butler. But for whatever reason, the Bulls like Zach LaVine, who tore his ACL, Chris Dunn,
and relies completely
season
on his athleticism to really be a good player, and he tore his ACL.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to say too, guys, Zach LaVine hasn't really proven that much in the NBA. I feel like if he hadn't been known for his athleticism or his ability in the dunk contest, would we be talking about Zach LaVine at all?
Probably
like,
not.
Just I don't know. He hasn't done enough for me to warrant being, maybe the centerpiece of this trade. Neither has Chris Dunn. I mean, Chris Dunn didn't do anything last year. Ricky Rubio was basically outplaying him and stuff. So I would just say that those two guys, are definitely not worth Jimmy Butler in the pick. So that's just what I was going to say on that.
What did you think of the pick of Jason Tatum at number 3 for Boston?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you, Elijah.
Yeah, no, I like Tatum. I think it's a great pick for Boston. My thing is this. Isaiah Thomas is coming up on 30 years old. Tremendous season. And why not just take Fultz and then deal away Marcus Smart or deal away Terry Rozier? I mean, maybe teams weren't didn't want those guys. I don't know. Maybe Chris Dunn was more appealing than those guys. I'm not sure. But my whole thing is draft Fultz and then see what you can do with him, because Fultz is only going to be 19 or 20 years old. And same with Jason Tatum. Like, he's going to be in that same range. But I just think Fultz, even though necessarily like Boston has a ton of guards, like they can make it work with Fultz. He's a big enough guard where you can play him off the ball and stuff. Whereas with Tatum, Boston's trying to get Gordon Hayward. I know that's going to be their big play come free agency. And they have Jay Crowder there who's sitting there. Now you have Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown, who you took last year. That's what confused me with Boston is they don't pull the trigger on any of these moves. I like how they collect assets, but they're legitimately like, when are they going to pull the trigger on any of these moves? That's my biggest thing. I think Tatum's going to be a good player, but I don't know where he fits into their team, at this moment and stuff.
I'm with you. I don't know what Boston suddenly thought and why they suddenly went, okay, we're no longer that high on Fultz. It seems like they've been high on him for a while. And if I'm Boston, Isaiah Thomas injured his hip, of all things, and the dude's 5'7", 5'8". I just don't think there's another way he has a season close to like he did this past year. I think last season was kind of the peak Isaiah Thomas will ever. I think the best he can be is the same again, and that's remarkable. A really kind of a, definitely a first team NBA kind of possibility there with how good he played. Now he got outplayed by a couple of guys who had also amazing seasons, but we can't forget Isaiah Thomas at being 5'8", maybe 5'9", is outplaying guys who have 6 inches on him at the same position, and that's an amazing stat. But it was weird to me that they didn't draft Fultz. Fultz is a really, really good point guard. Isaiah Thomas is about to have his contract's expiring before too long, so Boston's gonna have to decide to pay him the max or not, basically depending on how he's played.
Why are you gonna pay Thomas, who's 30, whenever his contract expires? He deserves a max deal. Don't get me wrong, but he's gonna be 30, and you're gonna pay him. And he takes a lot of punishment too for being 5'8". He goes in the lane, takes a lot of hits. Like, you saw him get injured. I know a couple of those injuries during the season or even in the playoffs were a little fluky, but still, dude takes a lot of punishment, even with his size. I look at it like you took Jaylen Brown last year. I'm not going to say Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. I think Tatum's better than Brown, but basically took the same, position player, I guess you could say, when you could have taken Fultz in this case. And then, because I don't think Tatum has as much value. They could trade Tatum, but my thing with Thomas is he's getting up there in age. He, takes a little bit of a beating. I don't know if Marcus Smart is the heir apparent to Isaiah Thomas or anything, or it's Terry Rozier, but I
clearly
think Fultz would have been the right selection.
Well, clearly OSU athlete Marcus Smart is going to take over the number 1 seeded overall Boston Celtics for the next 10 years into the future.
Yeah.
He's going to become mini LeBron 2.0, basically take over Eric Bledsoe's nickname, and then he's just going to keep ascending towards the heavens from there with his 3-point shooting.
Calvin, let me just stop you there. This is what the Boston Celtics are going to do. They're going to take a page out of the Dallas Mavericks, and they're going to sign Tom Brady. Except this time they're actually going to play him, and he's going to win.
I'm sorry. Did you just switch sports on us?
No, I didn't. Just
like
the
how
the Mavericks signed Tony Romo.
No, you did switch sports on us.
The Celtics are going to sign Tom Brady. No, I'm giving you a multi-sport athlete.
Thomas Brady.
Tom Brady.
Let
him run the
Thomas
point.
Brady the 5th.
Yes, Tom Brady. Greatest quarterback in NFL history.
We can debate that later, but
you don't like this idea? You don't like the idea?
If I'm a Celtics fan, go for it. Yeah, just Boston, whatever. But I think Boston's got to feel like crap today. They couldn't put a better deal together to trade for Jimmy Butler than the Bulls did. Tell me the Celtics couldn't have gone, hey, we'll trade you the 3rd and either Terry Rozier or Marcus Smart. Or maybe even Avery Bradley.
Crowder has a good contract that you can move easily.
Or Crowder for Jimmy Butler.
I mean,
the Bulls gave up not only Butler, but they also gave up their 16th pick for 3 guys. So in essence, the only thing the Bulls won on is they got one more player. But that's not really the space you want to win in when you're trading Jimmy Butler.
I think the Celtics were so enamored whenever they said Kristaps Porzingis. And so I think they were so busy trying to work a deal with them.
No, there's no way.
I think they were trying to work a deal with them, and then Minnesota came up under them, took Butler.
Well, you got to also remember that for most of the draft, they were working on a deal trying to get Paul George, too. The Woj, like halfway through the draft, said that they kind of stopped talks. I think there's still going to be a trade happening. They're going to get Paul George later in the next few weeks.
Yeah, the Celtics can trade. I think it's a couple of guys, and then they can have the cap space to do both. But
it could be that maybe the Pacers were talking, and they kind of hinted that that's who they wanted was Jason Tatum. Maybe that's what they're going to do is swap like Jason Tatum and some other picks or something. I don't know.
I just don't know why it doesn't happen draft night.
Yeah, that's also something you got to think about.
Honestly, I would have traded Isaiah Thomas, kept the first pick, drafted Fultz, and then tried using Isaiah Thomas to either get Paul George or Jimmy Butler. I just think Isaiah Thomas is undersized. He got beat up in the playoffs because he can't play any defense. He's too undersized.
And he went to Washington too.
Yeah, shout out to Husky.
No, the Washington connection there.
Yeah, which we knew Fultz.
I mean, I think Fultz is going to be really good, and I think Boston's going to look back on this and be banging their head against the wall. And I think Tatum's going to be a great player. I just don't know where he fits on their team, going forward, especially if they get Gordon Hayward in free agency. That's going to just be a lot of forwards. That
are we saying that's for sure though?
So.
Are we saying Gordon Hayward's for sure going to Boston? Because the only thing I've heard of that Gordon Hayward's going to Boston is from Boston Knights.
I mean, I think my biggest thing is just because Brad Stevens is there. I think he wants to play for Brad Stevens, and I think he sees Isaiah Thomas, the year that he had. That's going to be 2 great players that you have on the team, and at least he'd be able to understand the system that Brad Stevens is running. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to go there. He could easily sign back with Utah or whatever it is. He could go somewhere else, but I think the logical spot for him is Boston. It would be nice to see him on that team, but if Boston wants to try to go get Paul George, I mean, they can do that.
I think giving Gordon Hayward a max contract is a little silly. I don't think Gordon Hayward is worth a max contract, especially since you have Horford already there, and now you're going to have to pay Thomas. This could get ugly quick for Boston fans, especially if they have to let a young asset go whenever their contract's up, like Avery Bradley or Crowder.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Crowder's getting old, isn't he? He's like 29 or 30, isn't he?
Yeah. Jay's not young anymore, but Crowder's got such a good contract. I think he's getting paid 7.8 or something, or 5.8 for the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, his contract's so favorable. If Boston's trying to trade somebody, I think that's who they try to leverage first, especially to a team like Indiana. Hey, here's a guy who right now can play 3-and-D in the league. Start. Well, you guys have Miles Turner. You guys can, I guess, have Jason Tatum play the 4 a little bit here or there, or whatever, do whatever with that. But Indiana's got a long way to go now, especially since they're not going to keep George, and that's every indication.
Crowder's 26.
Okay. So
Okay. He's way younger than I thought he was.
Yeah. Yeah, always got to date it back to Westbrook.
And he's on a really reasonable contract, like compared to like what he got signed like to this deal 2 years ago or something like that, where the cap wasn't as high or it was still rising. So his contract is really like easily tradable as well.
Well, Elijah, who was switch topics a little bit? Who was your winner of the night on draft night?
I'm going to the Spurs. I loved what the Spurs did. They took the guy that I thought the Thunder should have taken, in Derek White. I've been saying it for a couple weeks. I thought he was going to be a great fit in OKC, but the Spurs, this is a great fit for them. They're going to lose Patty Mills. They probably aren't going to want to pay him. Tony Parker's getting up there in age. And then DeJounte Murray, is a young player that they're still trying to develop. But I think White's game is just so tailored to the Spurs and just the way he plays. He's a natural-born scorer, but his ability to run the point at the same time, and he's 6'5". It's a perfect fit. He's not going to blow anybody away, but he just fits into what the Spurs are looking for. I was surprised that he dropped all the way to 29. I thought a team might take him before that. And then the guy they took in the second round, probably not a lot of people have heard of him, but Jaron Blossom game, kid out of Clemson, played 4 years there. I was writing about this today because I was going to do a winners and losers thing on draft teams here. And Blossom game shot 44% from three as a junior, but in his sophomore season, he shot only like 28%. And then in his senior season, he shot like 24% or something like that. So his 3-point percentage is all over the place, but he's like a 6'8" wing. He's a really good defender, really athletic, and he rebounds. And I'm not saying that he's going to be anything close to Kawhi Leonard, but Kawhi Leonard had the same exact questions coming in. He did not have a good shooting touch when he came into the league. That was the one big knock on Kawhi. They have a really good shooting coach down there in San Antonio that helped Kawhi turn his jump shot around and really make him, a top 10, top 5 player, whatever you want to call him. I think Blossom game showed that he could shoot threes. He's going to be a really nice steal that they got out of the second round. I think a lot of teams were concerned about his shooting woes from season to season. So I love what the Spurs did. It's two guys that aren't going to wow you in terms of the stats or just even on tape or whatever you're watching. But I think they fit into exactly what San Antonio does. And I think they're my biggest winner of the night.
Elijah, I am ready for the Spurs to start sucking again. Please don't say that stuff. They need a few years off, get a number 1 pick again, and just give them a few years off. I'm tired of seeing them every year.
I know. Well, I feel like they're retooling, but people aren't noticing right now. The guys that they're taking in the draft, I wouldn't be surprised in free agency if they get a guy or two. So I don't know. As long as Popovich is there, they may, it's kind of like Belichick in football, they're always going to be good.
Well, that and they're shopping Aldridge, they're shopping Green. Pau Gasol seems to be coming back, but he's going to sign a contract that was less than the $16 million, which is kind of crazy to think that he was going to get that much. But yeah, you'd think maybe a person like Gordon Hayward would be a pretty good fit down there, or Chris Paul.
Yeah, I would love to see Chris Paul down there. I think that would be a really nice fit for them.
Well, speaking of Chris Paul, rumored is he's going to opt out of his contract.
I'll check it
that
again,
a little bit earlier.
I'll check it again, but I thought I saw that he did opt out.
And then also, Blake Griffin was for sure opting out of his contract. So, Elijah, my question for you is, as a Sonics fan, is this the first step here to Jerry West bringing the Clippers to the Sonics?
No,
Clippers to Seattle?
Stop it. If we're getting any franchise, it's Orlando. I'm saying it right now. And we're not getting Orlando, but I'm just saying they could move Orlando up here.
I don't think it's more conceivable you get a team in the same conference at least. I don't know about.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. We'll get an expansion team. This is too much. I don't want to talk about it.
What would you have said anything about Chris Paul?
Let me say this, because I got to go here. But
okay,
the Thunder pick, I really like Terrence Ferguson.
Okay,
I think it's a nice pick. He's a young guy that if he had played over in the States. Like he was committed to Arizona originally, and then he decided to go to Australia for the money. I think that he's going to turn out to be a really nice player in a couple years down the line. You may not see it this year. You may not see it the year after, but he's really athletic. Like what he's known for is his athleticism. If he can get his jump shot down, it's the ultimate 3-and-D guy. That's what they were saying last night, and I completely agree. like I said, it may not pan out this season or next season, but it's a smart pick. And I think that was a nice selection for them right there when they took that.
All right. Well, Elijah, thanks so much for joining us here for the time we had with you, and thanks for the insights.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Talk to you soon, man.
See you.
All right. So, heard from Elijah. Colton, what are your thoughts on draft night as far as everything went? Who was your loser of the draft, would you say?
Man, I don't know. That's kind of hard for me to say. Gosh, I don't know. Can we have Walter? You go first.
Walter,
let me think about it.
Yes,
Walter, who's yours?
my loser of the draft was the NBA deputy commissioner.
Why is this?
As many of you know, we're towards the second round, when Woj, as he usually does, starts tweeting out what the picks are going to be before they happen, the fans thought it would be funny if they shouted the name before the commissioner. Happened multiple times, and the commissioner just started laughing about it, but it was pretty hilarious. I thought it was a pretty good idea. Did you not hear that, Calvin?
What?
That in the second round, when the fans started chanting the player's name before the commissioner, the deputy commissioner.
Doesn't surprise me, but you know who really stumped him on draft night? Woj got nothing out of Presti. People were mad. They thought the Thunder were trying to do some of that pick because basically the Woj bombs just stopped. And I think the pick after the Thunders got announced before the Thunder even got announced, if I'm right. So we knew who was drafting at 22 before we knew who was drafting at 21 because Sam Presti locks it down. He kept that thing in
Sam Presti, I think they have those loose lips sink ships poster all over the place in the Thunder organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Presti kept it under lock and key, and then he went and grabbed, like Elijah said, Terrence Ferguson, who is an interesting pickup. If I'm a Thunder fan, I'm not too excited about this one, and the only reason is because it's a guy who needs time.
Yeah.
That's what I think is weird. Is it's a guy who needs time. We're not in a perpetuals. Presti's still same mindset of kind of okay, we'll take a prospect, look in the future a little bit more, even more so this year than previous years. It seems odd. I'm surprised we haven't had a trade yet, but I still think a trade is imminent for the Thunder.
Yeah.
I think before free agency is over. I'll say it that way. I think when free agency opens, a lot of doors, avenues, windows, alleyways, driveways, garage doors, and stuff like that will open up for the Thunder and possibilities.
Maybe, but I think going back to the pick, I think Sam was picking the person that had the best potential to be a star. Like, we can admit, this guy's got star potential, and he's also got a lot of bust. But I don't think anyone after him had as much star potential as this guy did. Would you agree with that, Calvin?
I don't know. I feel like drafting a backup point guard would have been a better move for the franchise as a whole. Because, for example, all right, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and everyone in Oklahoma City is going to hate me. I'm rocking the Oklahoma City Thunder jersey today.
I'm already hating you now.
I'm wearing the Oklahoma City Thunder jersey today, so I just want to pledge my allegiance to Mr. Presti. But let's say for some random reason, July 1st comes around. Then July 4th comes around. Then we wake up July 5th.
I hate that holiday. Don't you bring that holiday
And then we wake up July 5th and Russell Westbrook still signed a 6-year max contract. Then all of a sudden we go, holy mother of God, there is no one who plays point guard on this roster who's going to be with us a year later than now.
That's true.
I just think that's too big of a. I think that's too big of a deal to have lingering over your head as a player. And if you're Russell Westbrook, aren't you kind of weirded out by this decision to take another guy? I mean, we have a guy who started a game for us last year. We have a couple of guys who can start at small forward, and I know we might lose Robertson because of his value and stuff like that. On the open market, and we might not be able to max the offer sheet and stuff like that, going back in luxury tax again. But I don't think T. Ferg is starting for us next year if we lose Robertson or not. I don't think Josh Eustace is going to. I think we're all of a sudden going to have Jeremy Grant step and play that 3 role, or maybe McDermott. I mean, it's kind of one of those. It's a weird scenario here.
To be honest, I'm okay with either of those two starting next year. I'm okay with it.
I would much rather McDermott start over Grant because I'm sorry. I think Oladipo is a good enough guy on defense that we're not going to, that if anyone's guarding the other team, Oladipo's got to start. He's got to guard that guy, and then we need 3-point shooting.
The only time we're going to miss Roberson is when we go up against the Warriors, who, even with Roberson, we're not going to win.
Right.
And then we're going to miss him against the Rockets. And it's like those 2 times a year, those 4 or 5 times a year we play those teams, it's really not, other nights, it's not going to matter. It really isn't going to matter on his defense. But still, speaking of Ferguson, every time I look at a draft grade on him, like someone will point out, oh, he's a really good shooter, and then someone will point out, oh, he's an incredible athlete. Oh, he's a good dunker. I never get a really good read on what exactly the Thunder got with this guy. I've been really confused.
From what I've watched and what I've heard and read over the almost past 24 hours now, all I can figure out is the guy has a really good looking jump shot, and he's very athletic. And besides that, I think a lot of people have come out and been like, short wingspan, and that's kind of one of the things that makes it not as Presti-esque as normal. He's not, he
likes that wingspan.
He's not the Greek freak, wingspan guy.
He likes him to be able to pick up Sam Presti and hold him like this.
Over his head?
Yeah, over his head.
Yeah, you got it.
I've got to explain.
You can't just gesture. It's an audio podcast,
I'm
Walt.
so used to being on TV. I'm sorry. What can I say?
Yeah, you are dressed professionally today. We'll give you that one. Yes.
Thank you.
So, I don't know. This is a weird move for me as a Thunder fan to see, just because I think there's too big of an issue lingering over the Thunder's head if Westbrook doesn't re-sign or re-up his contract, whatever you want to call it. But 2, I think it's a big deal as well, just because I think this was the easiest and best way to get a point guard on our roster who could materialize and be the backup point guard for the Thunder that going into the season. I don't necessarily think one's going to come in free agency at all. I don't think we're going to be able to use our mid-level exception for one to get really a same type of guy we could have gotten last night. I mean, Derek White fell to 29. We're seeing people draft him earlier. We didn't buy into the second round at any point, try to buy back in the second round and pick up Juwan Evans or Frank Mason. Just seems like an odd move, Thunder.
I mean, it's still, to be honest, it's still not over. The season still hasn't even started yet. We've got a long way to go before we see a roster that we're going to see for the rest of the season. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're going to trade in the next couple weeks, and they're going to get that a young backup point guard. We just don't know. In addition, we saw pretty much what Samash Christensen is. I don't think he gets any better or any worse this next few seasons. But there's also, isn't there the point guard Daniel Hamilton that they have on the blue?
Well, he's more of a shooting guard. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him come up. But the thing is, Sam Presti has always seen into the future and realized what we needed. He went to go to Steven Adams with Kendrick Perkins, go to Andre Robertson with Thabo Sefolosha, Reggie Jackson when we needed that point guard position. I think if Sam was worried that Russell was not going to stay, I think he would have drafted a point guard last night. But I think he has probably heard from Russell that he's planning on signing that max extension. So that's why I'm not as worried as you are, Calvin.
I'm not as worried as you are, Calvin, either. I'm sitting pretty safe here.
Yeah, and I really like the draft pick because it's a potential home run. I think it was the best available player at that spot, and I'm excited that he actually has played professional basketball, not college basketball.
He played 15 minutes a game and averaged 4 points. The thing that really scares me about Ferguson is he was a 50% free throw shooter, so that really scares me. I've been reading a lot of things. A lot of draft analysis say that when they look at how a shooter is going to progress, they look at how well they shoot from the free throw line and kind of project from there. And shooting 50% from the free throw, I can do better. I can do as good as that.
Yeah, but I mean, here's also the thing: you're taking an 18-year-old and putting him in a country that he's never lived in before. And so I think there's a lot.
But how much of that? Hold on a second. I'm sorry, I got to cut you off on that one. No, how much of that goes into his shooting ability? I mean, I understand you're in a different country. Your all-around game may diminish the level of, you're trying to learn new things, so they operate, dropping out of, basically take away your letter of a 10 at the last second instead of not going to Arizona and going to go play in a country around the world. I understand that may hurt your psyche a little bit as just a person, and it may just be a change and hard to deal with. But I don't understand how that makes you, okay, you could have been an 80, could have been a 75% free throw shooter, now you're a 50.
Well, you also don't know how many free throws did he take since he's only averaging 4 points a game.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing.
That's fair enough.
But then also, you don't know the style of play in Australia. They could be a lot more physical, and that's why he wasn't able, in like an NBA game, where he would be able to get more free throw, more foul shots, more shot attempts, easier shot attempts, because in Australia they're beating you up. You just don't know. I'm just glad that it was a professional league. And
Okay.
I'm excited.
So you're happy he didn't go play in an amateur league? You're happy he didn't go to over to Spain to play in their college league?
I hate you, Calvin.
You're happy.
So-
You're
I
really,
hate you, Cal.
really
I
happy
hate
that
you,
he
Cal.
didn't go to
I just
Canada.
need one thing.
Right?
I do need.
We're
one
really
thing,
happy he didn't go to Toronto.
One thing I need him to do.
So we know you hate Toronto, Walter.
One thing I need him to do is apologize for the tweet.
Yeah.
For those
The
who
infamous tweet.
For those who don't know, after Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals last year,
Come on, keep going. All right, speed up here. Let's go. Get it out.
he sent "Where the Thunder Fans At" with a Klay Thompson shooting the guns.
Okay. All right.
That wasn't that bad. That's
Yeah,
not as bad. That's not
sounds
as
pretty
bad
painful
as,
coming out of your mouth, but man, it was slow enough.
Yeah.
I think that's not as bad as I think it was D'Angelo Russell called out Kobe Bryant on the rape charges or something a couple years right before he got drafted. Wasn't that who it was, or was it Julius Randle?
Then,
Or
like something weird happened with Jordan Clarkson Snapchatting, like D'Angelo Russell is talking about something else and whatever. I don't think it's way
that
to get
bad.
out of LA.
It's not that bad.
No,
But
a
so
tweet.
question for you guys: do we get to see Terrence Ferguson play at all this next year
in the G League.
in the G League?
You'll
You
see
don't-
him in the
like,
Summer League.
Yeah, I mean, other than Summer League or G League, do you think we see him in a Thunder uniform playing for the Thunder this year?
I can't tell you until I watch the Summer League. If he plays pretty well in the Summer League,
Barring any injury, stuff like that, no. If everything goes as course for your Thunder fans, I think a lot of it will depend on Andre Robertson coming back, though.
Yeah.
If Robertson comes back, if we're able to sign him, then I don't think there's any way. But if we're not able to re-sign him, and then things might start just getting really tricky at that 3 spot overall for the Thunder roster. Jeremy Grant's definitely more of a stretch 4 or stretch 3 to 4, whatever you want to call it. But he just doesn't shoot the 3-point ball well enough. I mean, we've been down that road before with Robertson so many times.
I think Jeremy Grant's a better 3-point shooter than Robertson is.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though is that he's not a knockdown.
Yeah.
He's not going to be. So then we might start looking at other kind of possibilities. Okay, do we start McDermott? Do we start trying to call up Turd Ferguson and get him to play over there?
Yeah.
well, I mean, also you've got Alex Abrines, who needs minutes, Doug McDermott, Josh Hustis.
Abrines is apparently he
So-
added on 20 pounds. That's what you were saying, right,
Yeah,
Golden?
I know that's true. According to some of the sports animal guys that have been talking to him.
So this
he
rotation's
could play
already
the
pretty deep.
He could play the 3. There's in some lineups. Abrines could be playing the 3 next
Me
year.
and Shane were talking last night about how we are kind of excited about this pick because we think that we have a good coach for I almost called him Turd Ferguson, Terrence Ferguson, because like
Turd Ferg.
Turd Ferg. He I think Billy Donovan's not afraid to throw a rookie out into the fire and see what happens.
Sabonis.
Yeah, like Sabonis and all that. And I think that we're gonna get to see him. And also, speaking of Josh Hustis, I was talking to Shane. I think the reason we haven't seen Josh Hustis at all is because Josh Hustis just sucks. So I don't think that that's.
Are we sure Josh
I don't
Hustis
know.
just sucks?
I saw that one game. He looked pretty good, and he dunked on some people.
But that's okay. That's
One game.
Any time Josh Hustis has
game.
gotten on the floor, it's been in just spare time.
I at least want him to get a chance because so I say the rotation's deep, but it's deep as in they need to try it out.
There's
Josh
bodies.
Hustis.
If Josh Hustis gets his chance and he's terrible, then boot him back to the blue.
Josh Hustis is the Blake Bortles of the NBA.
Oh, please don't say that.
Josh Hustis
No man needs
has
to be called
great
that.
stats in garbage time.
Don't say that, Calvin.
Blake Bortles is known for just throwing touchdowns like no other after his team's down 44-6. And that's what Josh Hustis can do. He can slide back in that lineup and he can give you 10 solid minutes to end out an NBA game when the third and second team of another team are on the floor. Josh Hustis.
You don't know that.
He's always fighting with somebody on Twitter too. I forget.
Oh,
who it
really?
is.
I don't know. I don't really follow.
So I was going
around
back
on
and
Twitter.
forth with oh gosh, I'm going to have to figure this out. I'll find it by the end of the podcast, I'm sure.
Well, it can't be worse than Kevin Durant's Twitter battle
With
that one lady. I guess she's from Oklahoma, saying that he likes it when women fart on his face.
yeah, are we nicknaming that for Kevin Durant? Can we nickname Kevin Durant next year Toot It and Doot It? Can we nickname Kevin Durant
No.
next year?
He might still come back.
We could name Kevin Toot and we could name
Kevin Toot.
Draymond Oot It. I guess all in one. Yeah. So Kevin could be Toot, and then Draymond could be Doot. And then there could be a third member that joins it. That's just it, you know?
Yeah, it's Jordan Bell that they just
Jordan Bell,
that they just bought for $3.5 million. That's it.
Okay, yeah, that's
Chump
stupid.
change.
That's really stupid.
Chump
the NBA
change.
shouldn't let that happen.
Apparently they're talking about last draft. You could teams are able to buy into the second round with 1.8, and the max that anybody can buy in is 3.5. So at least they had to pay the full. That's about all he can do.
I guess
still can't believe
but
that
the 38th pick.
Yeah.
I mean,
what are the odds that he even pans out? I mean, there's not good odds that he pans out at all and becomes any kind of roster.
I don't know. I feel like they could not. I feel like what McAdoo for them now just became expendable on the Warriors roster, and they've got so many good guys on that roster. You know, they add another young guy who's played in a college system. You know, for a couple of years, right? I think
I believe he was a senior.
Yeah, senior, junior. I thought.
We as the NBA need to get together, have one of the worst teams offer Andre Iguodala a max contract. That way he'll leave.
That's not going to change much.
What do you mean it's not going to change much?
He's like their best defender.
He has a gold medal.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's an all-star.
They have
It's
4
enough.
all-stars on the roster besides him.
Well, it's our only hope, Calvin. What else do you want? You think Dwight
All right,
Howard going
Obi-Wan.
to the Hornets will entice Steph Curry to go to the Hornets? It might. I don't know.
Clearly, they're freeing up cap space for Steph Curry.
Yeah,
Pitch.
him and Malik.
Have you not seen the
him
stats?
and Malik Monk and Kaminsky will be a great.
And Spencer Hawes. Don't forget about Spencer Hawes' man bun.
I didn't even realize he was still on that team. He gets traded around.
I'm
so
really
much, I don't
surprised
even
the
know.
Hornets still haven't dealt for Lauri Markkanen yet. Why not get all 3 tall stretch 4 white guys on your team that exist in the NBA?
They're just throwing darts at the dartboard.
mean,
hoping
you
they get a Kristaps Porzingis.
You know that's who they're really salivating over. They're trying to get 3 white guys together and go, hey, Phil, we got it good. Hey, this is the trade you want. We'll take 1 tall white guy for 3 tall white guys.
Man.
That's what Phil is waiting on. Phil's waiting up for that call. Or, you know what? They could also be going down the avenue of, hey, Phil, you got Carmelo. You know who else was really, really good in 09? Dwight Howard. Let's get him too. Let's do this. No, not a chance.
As long as I can keep him awake for the negotiations, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if they put him to sleep, they'll just sign his name. Be like, yeah, the trade happened. You were awake and fully capable.
And clearly he falls asleep during important things now. So, now it's just any possibility he could just be out.
Well, it's all that weed he smokes. Makes him sleepy.
Okay, you really had to go to drugs just immediately.
What's
He
wrong
couldn't
with
be
drugs?
old.
What's wrong
He's
with
just
drugs?
an older guy. He falls
He
asleep.
likes his dope. Didn't you hear what Shaq said about him?
I guess not.
About how it was always.
You always drop information on the podcast. Last podcast you were on, you dropped how Steve Nash is his kid isn't actually his kid,
Yes,
and it's
yes,
whatever.
yes.
And we're all still
These-
very confused
these
about how
peop-
you know this information.
These people
But
want to
go
know.
on.
These people want to know. They
Okay,
said
so
Shaq,
what's your scoop on Phil here?
Shaq said that Phil
Philip.
in damn you, stop it.
Mr. Jackson.
In the locker room would put this incense, but he said it smelled like weed. But it was supposed to mellow the team out.
That's your scoop?
That's my scoop.
I remember
incense
reading
in the
about
locker
that.
room?
That's my
Your scoop is
not every week is
there
gonna,
was incense
not every
in
week
the
you're gonna
locker
get
room,
you're gonna
They
get
had
the best
They had a
scoop.
candle burning of some type of, lavender.
You're not gonna get the great scoop from me every week, Calvin. I gotta, hold those bullets in the chamber.
You don't come on the podcast every week. We're only counting on you once a month. Come on.
It's a tough trip. It's a tough trip to
All right.
come up here.
So Calvin,
All right, 1 and 2,
what is your biggest loser of the draft?
The Bulls?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Bulls. And I want to say this, I don't know how the Bulls offered so much for Jimmy Butler to leave. Are the Bulls trying to clear out a bunch of cap space for something that we just can't figure out yet? Because that was weird. Why the 16th as well? I just don't. So the Bulls last night had 2 draft picks, one a pick outside of the lottery, and then the other one prime spot in the lottery at number 7, right?
Right.
And what probably is a top 4 heavy draft in my opinion, and then it kind of goes a little bit off from there. De'Aaron Fox, and then it kind of slides off a little bit off, with him, and then later on. But if I'm the Bulls, the last guy drafted that spot is Lauri Markkanen. Because the Bulls have, I think, 5 or 9 point guards on their roster, something like that.
Yeah.
And from those point guards, they've got none that can start quality minutes in the NBA. And that's what they need. And the Mavs drafted the guy I would have drafted.
They still have Rondo, don't they?
Yeah, but for another year, or for a couple of months
I think
here and
Rondo's
there.
still a solid starter in the NBA.
I don't think Rondo's horrible. I just think the way Rondo's kind of a wishy-washy player, and now Rondo's going to be on a team with nothing going on. That's what I weirded out about. If you trade Jimmy Butler, at least go, okay, well, we're building for the future today, and we're not going to build for the future for a 7-foot-tall white guy who shoots threes and can't rebound and can't defend. That's what I don't get from this. We're not going to draft basically Mirotic, kind of clone who's a little bit taller but can't rebound as well. I mean, that was a weird move for me to see.
Well, they have problems that Dwayne Wade's getting $24 million, Rondo's getting $13 million. And
the Bulls are clearly going to trade Dwayne Wade to the Nets, okay, and then Dwayne Wade's going to retire, and then after the season's over, Dwayne Wade's going to unretire and then go play for the Clippers with LeBron, Chris Paul, and Carmelo, and then
listening to this, he just popped a boner thinking about
Chris
that.
Paul's going to leave this offseason, go sign a 1 year with a 1 year player option next year for the Spurs, and then Chris Paul's going to go right back to the Clippers. All's going to be well.
Calm down, Calvin.
Carmelo's going to go over to the Clippers as well. LeBron, Wade, Chris Paul, and LeBron James and their banana boat extravaganza are all going to meet up in LA.
I think the Nets learned their lesson from the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade, not to take old stars.
No, the Nets would be doing the Bulls a favor.
Yes, I know, but
the Bulls are trying to suck. And if the Bulls are trying to make the 8th seed of the playoffs right now with this current roster, mind blown. Really. Just if they're trying to say Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, another point guard, who didn't pan out real well, Cameron Payne, Jerry Grant, Rajon Rondo, Michael Carter-Williams. I mean, they have a starting 5. They have 5 guys who could start, theoretically, second team on the second team coming off the bench at point guard. But they could all just start all together. How much fun would it be to see Michael Carter-Williams try to play center for a night? That would be an extravagant game. Against teams like against a team like the Sixers, whenever Embiid's got to sit out a game. Joel Embiid sitting out due to rest to make sure to rest up his legs. He's only played like 31 games in 3 years. And then, you know what? We're going to start MCW tonight at center.
I'm really excited.
I'm
really excited to see the 76ers this year. I really think they might be terrible, but they might also be pretty entertaining.
They're going to be a fun team to watch no matter what, I think. Yeah. Unless unless like 2 of them get hurt again, like we don't see Ben Simmons at all. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they handle the point guard duties because Ben Simmons likes to have the ball in his hands. That's where he's the biggest. That's
where he's best. Yeah, because Ben Simmons can't shoot.
Yeah,
that and watching ball this year is going to be. His dad promised playoffs for the Lakers, and if he doesn't deliver,
I am definitely going to watch the Sixers play the Lakers this next year. Though that's going to be a must-see game with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons subtweeting the Ball family the entire night. That was great on draft night.
What are we going to do if Ball doesn't live up and they don't make the playoffs? What are we going to do to Papa?
Are you saying what are we going to do as society?
No, what are we going to do as Bedlam Brothers? Are we going to go TP his house, or what are we going to do here?
TP his house? What are we, 4th graders?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking.
No, we're going to bring pig's blood around the entire cars in it.
I'm worried that might be racial. Though. It can't be racial, Calvin.
It's pig's blood. It's not black pig's blood.
It's just blood, Calvin. That's what I'm worried about. You can't do blood.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's true. Okay, so
Anyway, we can.
I can think more about this.
I think they should tweet us. The fans, the listeners should tweet us what
we're gonna put up 2. We're gonna burn down the 3rd B from their house.
Yeah.
You know why? Yeah. So that it just says BB for Bedlam Brother.
I like that one.
I thought it was going to be...
Took me a second, but yeah, I got it.
I thought it was going to be bitch basketball. That's what
it clearly stand for Big Balls Bedlam Brother.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Bam.
God, I wish that... All right. Did not insert a sound effect on that one. Yeah. So... Well, Walter, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
Everybody Hates.
Okay.
Insert theme music below. All right, so Everybody Hates Chris theme song is currently playing in the background for all you listeners out there. And this is the segment here from Bedlam Brother that we debuted last week with Jonathan. And this week it's still making its second appearance here. We'll see how much longer we keep this going.
Did it go over well last week?
Jonathan agreed with what I had to say.
Oh.
So... That was good. I'm 1-0.
Yeah.
And I agree with Jonathan what he had to say. So 1-1 there, back and forth. But basically, each person gets their own 30 seconds to a minute to explain why they hate this person this week. Walter, you had a pretty good one up to bat, warmed up here. You ready to go?
I think I'm ready to go. Okay, this week, the person I hate is one Kevin Durant. Really? You're going to take out a full-page ad in the damn San Francisco paper saying thank you to all the fans? Where's my thank you? Where's the Oklahoma City thank you? Like Dwight Howard did, like all the other stars did when they left their cities, their towns. You are just trolling us now because you won a championship with a bunch of freaking all-stars. This is ridiculous. Also coming out about Draymond texting him right after Game 7 saying, see, we need you. And then Kevin Durant texting back, yes, I'm in. Why would you make this whole thing in New York if you already knew? You just didn't have the balls to say that you wanted to go to Golden State, even though that's what you wanted to do. And finally, you got the courage. But then instead of saying, hey, this is a freaking all-star team, this is my best chance to win a championship, you start blaming Russell. You start blaming the fans. You start blaming Sam Presti. This is terrible, and I hate you, Kevin. I take back my thank you letter that I wrote last year.
There you go.
Makes me angry.
All right, so just look out in the future for us to print out Walter's thank you to Kevin Durant article and then burn it at the stake.
Okay, yes.
Right? In your backyard?
Yes.
In the ground?
In the ground.
On top of the grass?
And nothing will ever grow there again.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Colton?
All right.
Can we go next? Or you got it?
I got it.
All right.
So that's a thing that I hate. And as well as a person, Adam Silver in the NBA draft. They start off the draft with his little commencement speech or whatever about how, this is a great time for all these young men's lives are going to be changed. And then he goes, congratulations to the Golden State Warriors on your win. I was like, why are you bringing up this very controversial NBA finals? I hated it. And then, they spend the whole NBA draft hyping this up whenever Adrian Wojnarowski is out there constantly out like tweeting 3 and 4 picks ahead, so everybody in the crowd, including the announcers, knew who was going to be picked by the time Adam Silver walks up on the stage to announce the pick. And then they had to play that stupid theme every time. He says, with the whatever pick, the Sacramento Kings pick another player. I thought it was all stupid. I thought the NBA draft, they need to do something different. I think ESPN really needs to go back and look at how to make that actually watchable. Because the only reason I was watching it was so I could see what they picked at number 21.
Well, how about the fact that Adam Silver is the reason that Kevin Durant was able to sign for the Warriors? They should have. It's common sense. Why would you immediately give that team the cap space? You knew what was going to happen. You should have subtly increased it little by little so they weren't going to be able to afford him. That's terrible. And you know what?
Adam Silver dropped the cap this year. So, the Warriors did it the Warriors did this to themselves. If the Warriors should just let the Cavs win 2 more games and then set up for Game 7, the cap would be like $102 million next year instead of 99. But, Colton, here's my question to you, okay?
Yeah.
So Woj is joining ESPN, right? And Carson Cunningham tweeted this out earlier today, which is a really good point. He's joining ESPN. So now, next year, is ESPN going to go, all right, well, we learned from Woj. Here's what's going to happen 3 picks before it happens. Or is ESPN going to go, hey, man, we got to televise this. It's for TV, stuff like that. You can't tweet anything out early. Instead, you've got to wait your turn to talk amongst the 4 of us, in between we have stuff. And,
basically,
because if ESPN's at the draft, they're not going to want to have one of their guys going, hey, this is the 18th pick when Adam Silver's about to announce the 16th.
Yeah.
Because ESPN's not going to want to do that. They'd curve their entire TV viewership. But then if ESPN has Woj tweeting out, then what do you think happens there?
I don't know. I wish I had been able to get on Facebook and watch his show on Yahoo just to see, because I saw a lot of people saying like his stuff was like their show is so much better than anything ESPN had, because you have Adam Silver announce the pick and you'd see the guy get up and get the hat, and then they had the guy wearing the wrong hat when everybody in the room knew that he wasn't going to the Nuggets, he was going to Portland. Or what? I think that's what
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell. He's going to Portland.
Mid-interview.
Yeah, he was like, and everybody knew 15 minutes ahead of that because Wojnarowski tweeted about the trade. So they're all looking stupid the whole time. But I thought, and then they have the little interview with the lady And it was all just cutesy stuff, and I just thought like so much of it was them trying to be good, and it just wasn't working. I really wish I'd been able to get over and watch what he was doing on. I don't know.
Well, it's a pretty good. It was pretty good. I mean, they had Tom Crean, but Woj wasn't on the show.
No, he's not.
No, because he's too busy on his phone. So, but it was a pretty good show.
Okay. Yeah. Well, next year, we'll that dilemma will arise, and we'll see how ESPN decides to deal with it.
Yeah.
So for my everybody hates, I don't think this is going to be an unpopular decision at all. Walter, I did agree with your everybody hates. Of course, everybody hates Kevin Durant. He left Oklahoma City in tears and will forever be now known as the cupcake among any Oklahoma City fan. Colton, you're just pretty good too with the just basically screw ESPN. They suck. Yeah. And I don't think mine's going to blow anyone out of the water either. But I'm not a Knicks fan. I am wearing orange today, but I'm not a Knicks fan. But I do hate Phil Jackson. Yeah. That's who my everybody hates.
Don't let Shaden hear you talk about that. He thinks Phil Jackson still knows what he's doing, and I disagree.
No, Phil Jackson, so earlier we talked about how he fell asleep at an NBA draft workout. Number one issue. Number two, he takes such big offense to a guy missing an exit interview that he decides to trade him. But not really. He tries to gauge interest, oh, well, if the Suns will offer, and I think there was Golden, you or Shaden said this last night on the podcast you guys had, but it was Devin Booker, the third or fourth pick this year, and then a first rounder next year for Kristaps, if I'm right. And that one, Suns would. Literally, if the Suns did that, the NBA would have to take ownership of the franchise, basically like they did the Pelicans whenever they traded, or the Hornets then, and when they traded Chris Paul. Basically, the NBA would have to take it and step in and take ownership if they did that, because Kristaps is good, not that good. But then also, Phil Jackson, what are you doing? How do you let this news get out that you're even considering Kristaps? And then you own up to it of, yeah, we actually are considering trading the best player we have on our roster that's the future of the franchise and the face of the franchise right now. Because he couldn't go to one exit interview with our GM who's 70-plus years old. I wonder sneakily out here, and it was, I think CJ McCollum tweeted this out, is Jeannie Buss going, hey, engagement's back on if you'll trade us Kristaps? And is that really what we're seeing here? That the Lakers are about to get, not only did they draft their point guard of the future, but they're about to get Kristaps Porzingis for Julius Randle straight up. Because Phil Jackson just wants to have sex one more time before he dies.
I think that's just as fair as Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors. So I think it's just as fair.
Oh, you're just going to leave it at that?
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I don't. You know what? Go ahead and do it. The league's unfair anyways.
So that ends it for the
Grow up,
hates.
kids.
Yeah, I told Shaden, maybe I told you this too, if you heard on the podcast, that was someone asked Adam Silver, what do you plan to do about the imbalance in the NBA right now with how good Golden State is and how they just destroyed the competition. He just basically said, we need every team to get on the Golden State Warriors level. And the up
level.
and then Up the Thunder tweeted back. He's like, well, I really like for gosh dang it, Samaj Christensen to get on Russell Westbrook's level, but that's not happening. It was stupid.
Adam Silver really's got his work cut out for him because now he has one team in the league who has surpassed everyone else, and he has the number 2 team in the league who has surpassed everyone else before them, feeling like they cannot even beat the number 1 team unless they do something drastic, like get a 1-year rental of one guy and trade their third best player. Mm-hmm. And apparently last night I heard talk stalled out between the Cavs and basically anyone else they're trying to trade Kevin Love for, because Kevin Love's just not that desirable anymore. And I don't blame him. In this current NBA setup, you want your point guard to be almost your best shooter on your roster. You want your shooting guard to be your best shooter on your roster. You want your small forward to be able to hit a lot of threes and play good defense.
And play power forward and center.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also want a power forward and center who can basically do exactly what the small forward do, but they have a couple more inches on him. So that makes teams like the Bulls with Rondo, that he's going to start, this obsolete for the new NBA. That makes certain teams I don't know what the Magic are doing with Elfrid Payton. No one knows what the Magic are doing for the record. And the Magic are trying to suck, but then also have every single power forward in the entire league. But my surprise of the night is that the Kings actually did a smart move by drafting De'Aaron Fox. Now, after that, they made a very dumb move, in my opinion. They could have drafted Malik Monk as well, so they traded that pick back to 15th and 20th, and they got a maybe 20% Harry Giles of what he could be.
I liked Harry Giles. I thought that was a good pick.
I like
Yeah,
those
I do
guys
too.
too. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it's in a draft where the top. I think, what did I say? Top six or I said top 4 earlier. So top 4 was like tier 1 of all your draft prospects. You know, you got Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum, Lonzo Ball, Markelle Fultz, right? Markelle Fultz may be way better than anyone else, but you've got those top 4. Then the second level you had kind of went all the way down to pick 12. You know, right after Malik Monk was drafted. You know, you had the next 7 guys were big time names, stuff like that. And then you have another tier. And I think it's always weird when, okay, you had a pick in tier 2, and then you went, okay, let's trade back for pick in tier 3, and then and then like maybe the last pick of tier 3 / pick of tier 4, you know, of your draft prospects. That was weird to me. Like if we had traded up 1 pick, we could have drafted Harry Giles as the Thunder.
Well, basically, you talked to me about what I said yesterday on the Slim Basketball podcast, which is a good podcast. Everyone should go give it a listen. Anyway, basically, I liked the stuff that they did with the picks. I just don't trust that organization to develop those picks at all. I don't trust that organization. That like, if the Thunder makes that pick, everybody goes crazy and thinks that's the greatest move of the night. But it's the Kings, and they historically don't know what they're doing. You know, they're just not good at planning ahead or doing anything. So I like the picks, but I don't think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to be good enough to develop them and have them become good players.
Maybe the Thunder can trick the Magic into giving them Elfrid Payton as a backup point.
I think
You'd want Elfrid Payton as our backup point guard.
Yeah, why not?
I bet that
you'd want a roster who currently can't shoot at all, besides when Alex Abrines is on the floor, and maybe some of Doug McDermott, as well as maybe, who knows, Enes Kanter, because apparently he's trying to shoot the 3 this next season. You'd want our second team to have a guy who literally just absolutely cannot even shoot free throws as the point guard.
I don't want him to shoot free throws. I want him to run the pick and roll with Enes Kanter. That's what I want him for.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I see that insight.
I bet that the Magic's office, they have Sam Presti's phone number blocked, so he can't even call them anymore because of that awful trade that they made last year. Great for the Thunder, but bad for them.
Okay. Well, if that's where we're leaving it at, all right. And then as we get down to the end of the podcast here, you guys ready for everyone's newest segment overall for the podcast?
Uh-oh.
Calvin's conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Oh, there is a promo. Keep it up. Oh, let's go. Let's build the suspense here. No, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
What is it?
All right. Cool. I said it earlier to Elijah, but I'm not kidding around. The Clippers are now going to Seattle. In 1 year. The Clippers are going to have to stop building their brand new stadium that they are trying to build close to Anaheim, and they are going to magically move to Seattle because basically that's how the world works. You screw over DeAndre Jordan, and then you screw him over again by having him pack up all his bags and move to a new city with a new franchise. Just think how much fun it would be to see Andre Jordan really lead the Sonics back to their glory.
That's not going to happen.
To see DeAndre Jordan by himself, as well as 4 other players on the roster that they can't figure out who are, to come back and lead the victory.
Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers, the point guard.
That's right, Austin Rivers. Because Doc Rivers is the coach, so clearly Austin, his son, will always have a job in the NBA.
Like they're just going to have a gigantic statue of Austin Rivers out in front of the stadium. Like as you walk in, you have to like rub his head before you get in.
But here's even the most fun part about this conspiracy theory. Okay. You okay, Walter?
I'm okay.
LeBron James, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony are going to go play for the Sonics.
Okay.
And you heard it here first.
I'm sorry, Elijah.
At Calvin Glenn on Twitter.
Yeah, please tweet
at me.
Please tweet at him.
At me.
Yes.
I'm not afraid. My conspiracy theories are correct here.
Yeah. Shaden.
Last week, my conspiracy theory was LeBron James was leaving after next season to go play for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And this week, my conspiracy theory is another LeBron James type of model. And I've got to switch my conspiracy theory from last week. Instead, LeBron James is not going to go play for the Thunder. He's going to join up with his Banana Boat gang, and he's going to play for the Clippers / Sonics.
Are you ready for mine?
With you don't get conspiracy theories. This is not a segment.
This is okay.
This is called Calvin's conspiracy theories. We use alliteration to succeed in life, and that's what we did the segment with.
Okay, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This actually happened.
It already happened?
No, it's about to happen. But
Okay,
I know it firsthand from a good source.
How soon? Before you get to what it is, how soon?
It's going to be in the next 2 months, Calvin.
Next 2 months.
Do you
okay,
wanna know
next
it?
60 days from today.
Do
All
you
right.
want to know what it is?
Go for it. Yep, go for it.
Well, no, because I already ruined your segment. But tune in next week. I will give you what's going to happen.
You're not even going to be here on the podcast next week.
I am going to be here.
You make
I'm
1 out
going
of
to
4
be here.
podcasts a
I'm
month.
going to be here. Okay, now is this what this is about? Me missing some podcasts?
You make 1 out of 4 podcasts a month. And you're going to go, oh, yeah, I'm going to drop my
I'll be
Walter's
next week.
conspiracy theories.
I'll be
No
next
alliteration there.
I'll be by next week.
Why not even try Walter's wondrous ideas?
Because then it's an idea.
That's
This is
amazing.
actually going to happen.
See?
But this is a good idea.
God, I could add like a little like twinkle
we'll
behind
have
there,
it.
like
Okay.
behind and everything like that. So,
Okay, next week we'll have that segment.
are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But so are you saying 60 days from when you announced the segment? From when you announced this?
No.
Or are you saying 60 days from today?
Walter's Wondrous Ideas. That'll be next week.
But you did leak out a little bit of information about it, which is good proof of a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
And what I want to say is that how do you not tell us exactly what time span we're working with here? Okay, are we working on 67 days?
What are you
from today?
talking
We're
about?
working from 60
Are you
days.
smoking Phil Jackson's crack?
His incense? I'm not smoking Phil Jackson's lavender candle. No, I am not smoking Phil Jackson's
I'm trying to
lavender
leave a
candle,
cliffhanger
which
here.
will clearly be the topic
Get
of
our
this
listeners back
podcast.
for next week.
If you're trying to the Bethlehem Brother podcast, just props. And please go rate us and like us on iTunes or SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcasts. Stitcher, YouTube. You know we're on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I knew that.
I didn't know that.
We're actually on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as a picture, go click on the YouTube link because you know what it has? Just a picture of my face, just smiling with like 2 thumbs up.
I think everyone's going to go look at that now.
Yeah, go listen to the last Bethlehem Brother podcast
Well,
right after you listen to this one, and then see a picture of my face just smiling with my mouth wide open and 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
Because you know what?
What?
Go Pokes.
Oh. This is when the music would be.
we're in Stillwater.
I threw up the handgun sign.
No.
The handgun sign?
The shoot 'em, whatever it is.
Pistols firing?
The pistols firing.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, how long have you gone to OSU? I even knew that.
It's not been a good day.
Roll chose. That's what it is. Roll chose.
Are you really trying to tell me you're a UCO fan?
Oh my gosh, give it 10 years, D1 national championship in football.
Wait, are you saying both those things happen in 10 years?
Both. And that's not part of my wondrous ideas. That's not the secrets.
Well, quickly, because we'd have to put you in a mental health facility for that one there.
You know, I need to give you some kudos, Calvin.
For what?
You have not muted me this whole podcast.
Now
It's over. It is over. It is over. You're not going to mute me. The podcast is over. Everyone enjoy their night. Drive safe.
That wasn't the mute button. I thought I hit it. Okay, wait, hang on a second though, Walter. So I wanted to last week we had the commercial success of Father's Day come around. We played the Lonzo Ball tribute on the way to end the podcast.
Very nice.
If you listen to last week's podcast, you can go back and listen to that entire Foot Locker commercial that clearly was meant for your eyes, but we gave it for your ears.
It was meant for your eyes, but we gave it to your ears. Yeah,
You know what to name the podcast that?
that's what you named it?
No, that's what I'll name this podcast.
Oh, okay.
We
like
gave
it.
it to your eyes. It was meant for your eyes. We gave it to your ears.
Yeah, very good.
No,
That's the new tagline of the whole Bedlam Brother. It was meant for your eyes, but we gave it to your ears.
Oh God, man. Well, we are a website though, so that would be a little
true. That's
weird.
true.
Maybe that's the motto for the podcast. Actually, I would love to see that as the motto for the podcast.
So, Calvin, are you pulling up something for my ears to listen to?
Yes.
Yes, and
Yeah, it's internet's iffy here on whatever we do in life. So that's
this will make everything.
Just hang on
better.
a second here. This is really going to make Shaden really, really happy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah,
so this is how we're going to end it.
it emphasizes his favorite person in the entire world, LeVar Ball.
This isn't nice.
That's LeVar Ball being booed as he throws his Big Baller Brand hat in the air, which will soon to be Bedlam Brother hat in the air for the BB. That's soon what it'll stand for. Yep. Because, of course, his son, Lil Angelo, is not going to play in the NBA. So
he's going to play for the Lakers. That's the Big
not
Baller way.
happening. All right, well, before this loops the third time, You have now listened to the Bedlam Brother podcast. Please go find out where you listen to us on iTunes and SoundCloud and Stitcher and stuff like that. And you'll give us a like, comment, review, and let us know how terrible or terrible our podcast is. Right?
Yeah.
Or how great it is if you think it's good. Hopefully you're listening for a couple times now. You think it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
All right. That ends us out there.